Are you tired of the same old iPhone upgrade or the Galaxy upgrade and looking for alternatives? Well, the Razer Phone just may be that phone. What's going on, LPX community? I know that it's been a while since I've uploaded an actual tech and phone review video, but fret not, I found some time recently to finally start recording for you guys. I know, right in time for the holiday season too. I know a lot of you have been actually wondering about my opinions on the new iPhone X, which you probably saw in the live stream video if you haven't already done so, as well as my thought on the new Note 8. And to be honest, I could have probably recorded a video in the last week or two, but it's just both the phones really didn't stick out to me this year. Starting with the S8, the LG phone, the Motorola phones coming out, nothing really enticed me to upgrade. To be honest, yes, I'm a tech enthusiast, and that's why I started this channel several years ago, but due to recent financial strains and just my situation and kind of like just how my work life has been running my business, I just haven't had a need to really upgrade to these new phones. I know that sounds blasphemous for me to say, as a tech reviewer to say, but none of these have really stuck out. But in the last few days or so, actually the last week or so, I've come across, actually my employee, he actually showed me a couple phones that have come out recently that actually made me kind of interested, that actually got me off my chair. I'm like, wait, what? But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the Razer phone. And yes, Razer. Now this phone, well, before I continue, I'll put it this way, if you're not a gamer, you're probably not gonna be really interested in this phone. But at first glance, this phone, let's go ahead, we can go over the stats, day and night. They're on the website, other reviewers have gone over it. They have the latest pieces of tech in terms of processor, RAM, and storage capacity, which they say you can go up to 2 terabytes, but the thing is, they don't make a 2 terabyte SD card yet. The key word is yet. When it does come out, this phone could potentially have the biggest storage capacity on the market out there, but the thing is, by the time those cards come out, the competitors will have caught up. But performance-wise, obviously this phone is on par, almost on par with the other phones, but it is lacking in a lot of places. And I'd rather actually talk about the cons. Now, obviously, I don't have the phone with me, nor do I have had the chance to really look at the phone, but I went to some other resources. I looked at some of the other YouTubers that I actually follow for some guidance, and I was able to draw a actual personal opinion on the phone. And some of the cons that actually really affected me was, number one, the aluminum casing. Everyone complimented on how premium and nice the aluminum finish on the phone felt, but a lot of them actually pointed out that the phone scratched really easily. I'm the kind of person that if I have a new device, it gets scratched up, it kind of takes away from it's kind of a negative point. Another negative point that's going to hit a lot of people is the camera. And all I gotta say about the camera is they have decent lenses, nothing high tier like the iPhone X or the Samsung Note 8, but pretty much a lot of them said mid-tier, mid-market equipment, but the program and the interface pretty much all but not there. I think all the reviewers pretty much unanimously said that the camera quality wasn't on par with the other phones at its price level. And I know a lot of people will actually be turned away from this because a lot of us these days actually use our phones for a lot of photo taking. Unlike 10 years ago when the smartphones first started coming out, we all had digital cameras and DSLRs and whatnot on top of our phones. Over the years, more and more people aren't carrying those around anymore and solely relying on the phones for their photo usage. I mean, 12 megapixels, dual 12 megapixels isn't something to laugh about. It's nothing bad or anything, but in terms of what you can get for the same price on the market, it's a little bit lackluster and could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. Was it a deal breaker for me? And I'm going to be talking in a sense of as if I were upgrading. It's a yes or no, and it really depends on the other things that the phone offers. Another minor negative point was actually the screen brightness. I'll be talking about the good points of the screen in a bit here, but the main thing was it was actually really poor in daylight and daylight usage. It'll be a negative for a lot of you who like to use your phone outdoors or who are outside all the time, and where the other competitors who are at the same price or above have outdoor mode where the screen gets super bright. For me personally, I use my phone, I'm mostly indoors, running a business all the time, and Unfortunately, my time in the sun is really limited these days. Another minor drawback is that it's not water resistant. For the size of the phone as it is, you would think that they would add some level of water resistance to the phone, but there is none. And the thing is, I know that this is actually within the last 2 years that that feature has become more prevalent in the phones, but it's kind of a disappointment that, for the first phone coming out, in 2017, that it doesn't at least have some level of water resistance. I know a lot of people look for that because, accidental pool drops, falling in the water, it rains on it, something could happen, and having that little extra level of security is a need for a lot of people. And the last negative point is actually the same thing I have with actually the new iPhones, and is that there is no headphone jack. I know that this debate goes back and forth because the market's split. There's a lot of people out there who use wireless headsets that have Bluetooth headphones and whatnot, but there's still a vast majority of the other market where I think it's actually a more majority that still use wired headphones because, let's be honest, a lot of us can't just simply go out and afford an additional $100, $200 headset. And before I continue there, I actually had this debate the other day is that, well, you're buying an $800, $1,000 phone. What's the big deal on buying another $100 headset to match it? And the thing is, we're not just dropping $800, $1,000 for these phones, but the vast majority of us can't afford to just drop $1,000 to buy these phones, and we end up financing them, added on to our normal phone bill. And a lot of us actually go out of our way to support those phone bills. And a lot of people may argue, well, then don't have a phone, but at the end of the day, it's become such an integral part of society that you need to have one. And if you're financing the phone that like most of us are, like I am with the S7, you don't just have another $100, $200 lying around just to spend on headphones. You have other priorities to spend on. And continuing on that argument, well, you know what? It comes with a dongle. So if you already have good headphones that you want to use, it comes with a little attachment just like the iPhone does. But yet again, that little piece can be easily missed. You can lose it, you can break it, and then you're gonna have to replace it. But if you lose it or break it, yes, you can go ahead and replace it and buy another one, and emphasis on the buying another one. But the main thing is, you lose it, it breaks it, you don't have anything to use to listen to your music or to your videos. And that is, to me, it's a really negative point because the market hasn't fully shifted to the full wireless Bluetooth area. It's in the middle of it. And yes, I understand that, might as well just pull off the Band-Aid and go forward with it, but you're leaving the other half of the market behind. I feel like you're alienating a lot more people. And I know that this won't be a make or break for a lot of people. A lot of people, left me thumbs downs for that whole headphone comment thing, but at the same time, this won't appeal to everyone, but it could be it's a bad point for a lot of people. But those bad things aside, let's focus on some of the good things. And before I focus on that, I kind of want to take a quick look back at some of the old gaming-oriented smartphones that came out back in the day. First and foremost, the N-Gage, the Nokia N-Gage. If you guys remember that phone, I was actually one of the idiots that got that phone and immediately regretted it. Wasted a lot of money on buying the games, the proprietary hardware and accessories, and eventually they just dropped the support for the phone overall, and I was out $200-300 at the time. I was a high school student, worked really hard for my paycheck to get those from GameStop, and I immediately regretted it. And the other phone that really sticks out is the Xperia X Play. So it was pretty much a PSP and a smartphone combined into one phone. And overall, both those phones failed. I actually really liked the Xperia. The N-Gage was definitely a failure, but I really liked the Xperia because I was able to play PS1 games and PSP games on my smartphone at the same time. Now, the Xperia phones, they weren't the best back then, and the gimmick eventually wore out, and those both phones failed. But will the Razer phone fall into the same category? I don't believe so, because I feel like it actually went the right direction of focusing on the basic needs of what gamers want out of a phone, potentially want, because everyone's need is different. But Razer focused on building a phone that had the latest processors, the latest RAM, expandable memory, had good battery life, a good screen for gaming, and good sound. And I feel like they hit pretty much most of those points. But going back to the design of the phone, it is big. When the reviewers were using it, it was big. It's a big phone. It's got a large screen with a pretty distinct border for the speakers that it comes with. And yes, it comes with full speakers that you can see on the images and stuff. Now, it is Dolby Atmos certified, but obviously you're not getting Dolby Atmos sound. But all the reviewers unanimously pretty much said that this phone had the best speakers, the loudest speakers of any phone out there. And I personally like that because I actually use my phone to watch a lot of YouTube videos, movies, and Netflix, whether I'm at the gym or home, or even when I'm here at the store working. I actually put it off to the side while I do things. And yes, shamelessly, I use it in the bathroom. And sometimes I actually put it up on the countertop to watch things. And sometimes the speakers aren't the best, and having some really loud speakers, especially while you're doing work, actually would be nice to have. Now, while big and clunky, I'm gonna be honest here, I don't really care about that because back when I got the first Note, the Note 2, the Note 3, and up to the Note 4, I got cases for all of them, actually for most of them. But the size really never bothered me. And looking at the phone now, it's no bigger than an actual Note 4 with a pretty decent case on it. And does it bother me? No, I got used to carrying that around. I mean, was it inconvenient at first? Yes, but you get used to it. Now, I can't imagine how much bigger and heavier this phone will get with an additional attachment, but at the same time, most people just get used to those things. And I really like how simple the design is. They're actually really not going over the top with the design, and I know that people might call me out on this because, you know, I always criticize how the Apple phones really haven't changed in designs, as well as the same arguments could be made for the Samsung phones as well. I know that the Infinity displays and the edge-to-edge displays have really pushed the boundaries of the screens, but at the end of the day, sometimes simple is better. And it kind of took me this phone to kind of appreciate that because, you know, it's not going after to wow any style, you know, try getting style points or anything, but it's got a decent screen, it's got speakers, it's got a nice luminant black finish, the logo is prevalent on the back, nothing gaudy, just very simple, nice brush, and it's just clean. Not to say that, you know, the other phones are ugly, that this phone's gonna be the best looking phone, but for some reason, it just kind of, I don't know, I don't mind it. I don't mind looking at the phone. But the screen, I know I pointed out a negative point about the daylight usage before, but a positive thing about the screen is that it does run at 120 Hertz. Now, it's one of the first smartphones to actually have that refresh rate on a screen. And unanimously, across all the reviewers, they loved it. Once they turned on the 120 Hertz refresh rate, they loved how smooth the browsing was. And like on the videos, you can't really see it because most YouTube videos are at 60 frames at most, and you're not really gonna really appreciate how smooth the swiping is, but I can only imagine. And especially for gaming, I know that they've all pointed out that all the games don't support 120 Hertz right now, but the games that come preloaded onto the phone do, and they look great, and they all, you know, they pretty much all gave them positive reviews. But the negative on that is the market support isn't quite there yet, but obviously Razer is going to be working on that. A positive here, not just for Razer, but for us as consumers, is that this phone is going to have some level of success, and the competitors are going to take notice. And I wouldn't be surprised if next year you start seeing 120 Hertz screens popping up on the S9, the iPhone 9, or the iPhone X1, whatever the hell they're gonna call it. You should definitely expect to see the competitors catching up on that screen level. But for right now, Razer definitely takes first on that one. And from the looks of it, the phone doesn't come with a lot of bloatware. And I know that I'm not the only one in saying this and agreeing with it, that I really like that, because I don't like all the preloaded software that some of the other phones come with from the carriers. And one final big thing about the phone, it has a 4,000 milliamp battery. It's one of the biggest batteries out right now in the current phone market, meaning is that you can actually use the phone, from what Razer says, to up to a day and a half of use. But, you know, obviously real world is going to be different, because if you are a gamer, you're gonna be gaming on this a lot, it's really going to be using a lot of power. But with a 4,000 milliamp battery, it should last you pretty much a decent part of the day without charging. Now, it does have quick charging enabled, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, overall, this phone is pretty much, it's simple. I know that's kind of weird to really talk about, but the reason why it's so appealing to me and a lot of other gamers, it's that it's like the Steam box of phones. And if you don't know what a Steam box is pretty much a bare bones mini computer that's just dedicated to gaming. You know, it's nothing fancy in there, but it runs efficiently, it runs well. I've actually been running them in my LAN setting for the last 2 years, and by God, those things are still running strong. But it wasn't anything fancy like our editing computer here or anything like that. But it was just simple and it was just easy to use, and that appealed to me as a gamer. And the thing is, if you're not a gamer, you might just really look past this phone. You might not even care about it. And even gamers out there may or may not consider this phone, but just the sheer fact that it's just a simple, it's bare bones. Obviously, I really can't say for sure until I get my hands on it or other people do. You know, I know I can be called out for being biased, but I'm not sponsored by them. I may use their products and all. I mainly use their products because, you know, they're good gaming products. I know it's kind of taking a step back when you're not really focusing on the gimmicks or, you know, the S Pen or the Apple Pen, other device functions, or being able to like cross use it with a laptop or a computer, etc., etc., a VR, all this other stuff. I know this is actually, getting this phone is actually kind of pulling you away from all of that. And it's actually kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's sort of like if you live in the big city and you take a vacation out, I know, out in the woods, or you just go to the beach or the ocean, and it's just like, it's just simple. It's a simple lifestyle, it's just simple. And after years of doing this, to be honest, you know, and before I even did this, my business, I really, you know, I was really interested in the new apps and trying to be ahead of the game and everything. But after being sprinting nonstop for the last, God knows, 7 years, 10 years, ever since the first iPhone came out, just going back to the basics is kind of what I'm looking for right now. And that's why I think this phone actually really appeals to not only me, but to a lot of people. But I'm gonna reiterate that, you know, I won't be able to get the phone. You know, I've already upgraded my phone before. My family plans all upgraded out. Everyone's got either the S7, the Note 5, you know, my wife has the S8, which I'll be talking about later because, you know, the Black Friday deals is coming up. So I'll talk about it in the next video. But if I were due for an upgrade, I actually would be really considering the Razer phone. I know there's some negative points that I pointed out, but those really don't affect me in my usage. And I know each phone suits everyone's needs differently. So if I could, I would get the phone, but unfortunately I won't be able to review it for you guys hands-on. But in terms of first impressions, as well as for those of you who aren't afraid to be the first movers of new companies' devices and stuff, this may be a phone that you might really want to consider. Well guys, thank you for watching my review and my thoughts about the Razer phone. I know that, you know, a lot of you may not agree or, you know, may disagree with my thoughts on it, but I would like to hear them either way by leaving a comment down below. Be sure to look out for some future videos. I'm actually gonna be, tomorrow's video, the next one, is gonna be talking about the new ZTE dual screen phone. And actually that's a phone that I'm actually super excited about as well too, because it's all gimmick. It is all gimmick, but I actually really like it. I'm also going to be talking about the new Moto Razer phones, the Moto X, the LG V30, as well as a couple other phones, including the Note 8 and the iPhone X, after kind of months of sitting on it. But if you enjoyed my review, please go ahead and leave a thumbs up on the video. And if you'd like to see more video content in the future, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as well as check out some of the older videos I've done in the past. Kind of gives a baseline for my opinions and stuff. And plus, there's some fun goodies out there, you know, me embarrassing myself in VR horror and stuff, but yeah. But till next video, guys, take care. One day I will get a teleprompter and actually record these things out and type these things out.